Vicksburg, I'd like to welcome you to the May 6, 2024 Village Council regular meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to observe a moment of silence, please. Mr. Wines, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Fields. Here. Trustee Wagner.
Here.
Trustee Reister. Here. Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Kissinger. Here. President Frisbee. President Pro Tem Keller.
Here. We have an agenda in front of us. Manager Mallory, are there any additions or corrections?
No, one note that I want to make in front of the council is within your packet, the third quarter amendments were there tonight for you to view. I apologize. It's my understanding we did not get them out to you, and I take responsibility for that. If you have questions, it's a standard third quarter amendments. It's like we've done in the past, put them in the general consent area. There was nothing from staff review that is out of whack, and from our vantage point, any special attention. But if you have questions or wanted to table it to the next meeting, but we felt to put them in front of you since they were standard.
So what the chair will do, if somebody wants to table, we'll accept the consent agenda with an amendment to table item F. So just making everybody aware of that, okay? Okay, having said that, we have an agenda in front of us. The chair will accept a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
We have approval by Trustee Reister, second by Trustee Fields. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. At this time, it's my distinct pleasure to have the swearing in of our newest council member. We'll have the clerk, Mr. Wines, do that for us, please.
The duties of village trustee
in and for the village of Vicksburg,
in and for the village of Vicksburg,
County of Kalamazoo, and State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Trustee Kissinger, would you like to introduce your family, or are they're out of here?
I can. I think they're ready for dinner.
Oh, they're smart. They don't have to stick around for all this. So, well, on behalf of the rest of the board, I welcome you. So,
Thank you.
schedule of appearances, we have the Drain Commissioner representative from Spicer Engineering to update the progress on the Sunset Lake Dam and possible options within the project.
Can you hear me okay? Sound doing all right? So if you don't know, you do have a very historic and old dam in your community. It has been around for over 100 years, and it is in disrepair on the older side. You know, there's no immediate concern for danger, you know, so that's not what I'm here to tell you today. simply that the concrete is aging and is in need of repair. So the existing dam, if you've never seen it, is comprised of 3 different sections that are about 3 feet long that allow the water to pass over, and it's what we call a fixed crest weir. And it's got a fixed elevation and it stays there unless we remove some boards, and then we can lower that elevation to accommodate the flow. And we've looked at this in a lot of detail. We have kicked around a lot of different ideas. Your particular dam is in a unique set of circumstances, and not to get too nerdy, but being an engineer, I'm going to go there just a little bit, just so that you kind of have an understanding of what we need to do. And Jason was hoping to be here tonight, your drain commissioner, but unfortunately had a conflict come up. So at any rate, when water flows, it needs to flow through an opening. You know, if you picture a culvert, for example, underneath the road, and there's a culvert at Washington, that opening needs to be there, and it needs to be the right size. And as it sits today, the dam is undersized compared to what the current Michigan state standards are for dam safety, which comes as no surprise. We have a lot of dams across the state that are that way, but as we look at replacing this, we want to make sure that we meet and exceed those standards for the future. Get in, do it once, do it right, and get out. And so if you picture that culvert, when that big rain comes, that culvert fills up with water, and then it slowly goes back down over time as that storm passes. Here in Vicksburg with Sunset Lake, we don't have a lot of room for that to go up and down. You've got houses and septic fields and different infrastructure that can't be flooded, so we don't have a lot of flexibility up and down. And what that means in my world is, instead of having a bigger culvert, for example, you need to spread that flow out and go wider. So instead of a tiny little weir, you need a larger weir. A weir, again, being the edge that the water flows over. And so in this particular instance, you know, you have a fairly good-sized channel, but as we start to run all the nerdy calculations on this to try to figure out what we need to meet the state requirements, we need a lot of weir, like 150 feet plus or minus. So that, we've got a couple of different options. You can start to add mechanical devices, but that requires power, tends to be unsightly, and can pose problems. When are you going to lose power? Well, in the middle of a giant storm, and when do you need it? You know, generator backups and all of those things. So in a perfect world, we wouldn't rely on mechanical devices. And so that's led us to a labyrinth weir design that we're currently looking at for your system. And what that is it's kind of shaped more or less like a W. And so instead of having one straight edge, you've got, you know, a W shape, and you can keep adding to that, and that allows for that large weir crest to be installed in a much smaller area. And so as that level fluctuates, if it comes up just a little bit, more water is allowed to flow over that weir crest. So it does a couple of different things. Cost savings for long-term maintenance. You don't have mechanical devices to maintain, paint, and things like that. Again, you're not relying on those like we talked about earlier, so you've got increased public safety, which is important. And again, you don't have to send out a DPW guy to go out there and adjust it in the middle of a storm when things aren't great. So that's roughly where we're looking to go as far as an approximate time frame. Jason Wiersma was able to secure funding from ARPA funds, so we do have a pretty significant chunk of money that we can use for this, which eases the burden on the village, but then also the residents. Part of installing that labyrinth weir, one of the issues that we have is the culvert or bridge underneath Washington Street. So if you're familiar with that spot, you know, again, that sits full of water all the time. If you look underneath there, there's probably not even an air gap. If it is, it's less than an inch or two. And so that would, you know, right now we're looking at possibly removing that and you know, reconfiguring the road and trying to, if we swing the road off the one side, remove the bridge completely, and then just have it be open and naturalized through there. It's going to be, you know, open it up. It's better for the environment. The existing concrete stilling pool that's there now would go away. You know, don't get me wrong, a labyrinth weir has a significant amount of concrete to it, and you don't pass the kind of flow rate that we need to send through here. You've got quite a watershed above you, you know, Austin Lake, Gordnack, State Game Area, and lots of areas. So, we're still figuring out some of the pieces of the puzzle, but we wanted to kind of give you a heads up that we are looking at the possibility of reconfiguring that area. If you have to put a culvert back into that particular area, you're talking about significant added cost, and that really is one of the challenges that we've got right now.
Paul, if I can add to that, first off, Jason Wiersma, the Drain Commissioner, and Paul and his team, as well as village staff, have had multiple conversations and meetings on this. What the development, if you will, impact to village cost could be $800,000 to $1 million on just a cost of a culvert. So when we look and tasked Paul and his team with, it would not be staff's first choice to go to the citizens with any type of special assessment related to the dam for that $800,000 to $1 million price tag. And those conversations are continuing. I'll kind of pause there and come back. I assure this council and the public that when we come forward with the options and recommendations from the Drain Commissioner, that will come back to this council for input and support. We just wanted to give a heads up kind of what's coming here in the next couple meetings. But specific to that culvert, not having a culvert in the design, i.e. saves the village that up to $1 million price tag. And how that would conceptually look is Washington Street would stop west of the dam, and we're right now in the process of taking traffic counts both west of the dam and then we'll be east of the dam, so we can look at traffic flow and patterns as well, capturing data before any recommendations provided. But I'll pause there. Yes.
So how does that, without that culvert underneath Washington, how does that impact all of the water on the other side of Washington, that creek?
I'll be asking Paul to get engine nerdy here in a second. But the short story from a retired cop is the water would flow into this dam structure, and he'll explain that. But within this thinking, we've also looked at what would happen is a very nice pedestrian bridge and incorporate a flow into Clark Park, as well as west of the water, on the north side of Washington Street for that a good cosmetic fit, walkability in our downtown. But I'm going to pass the baton for Paul to explain. No culvert, the water's coming from Sunset Lake into the ponds and then into the waterway, how that would work.
Yeah, so, I mean, the nice thing about water, it stays there every day. I mean, you put a wind on the ocean and it messes with the tides, but when we're looking at Sunset Lake here, everything is even. And so if we need to modify the court-ordered elevation of Sunset Lake, if we did need to make an adjustment, it'd be very easy to make an adjustment underneath Prairie Street. Prairie Street has the culvert underneath it that feeds that park and the stream. And so we've got a lot of fall, or a lot of, it's basically a storm sewer goes out and it drops a lot. So if we needed to replace a portion of that pipe and lower that a little bit to match, we can certainly do that and continue to feed the park and then also continue the flow downstream. Because, if you're not familiar with the area, we do have some species that we need to be concerned of and how we handle them. And so we don't want to change things for those that we want to keep, and we don't want to open up opportunities for those that we don't want opportunities for, and different things like that. But rest assured, any modification we make to that dam will certainly be able to take care of the culvert underneath Prairie Street to make sure that that is properly fed as well. So
I have a question about the creek itself that flows down. How is that going to affect the creek itself?
So the creek itself, are you saying downstream of the dam, like the river?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gail. You're talking about the creek in in Clark Park.
No.
Okay.
I am talking about the creek that's behind my house, that goes all the way down. And behind her house.
So realistically speaking, if anything, it's gonna make it more naturalized, from a flow standpoint.
Okay.
The river itself, we're not gonna touch. So, and that's an important thing to know, because there's mussels in there that we don't wanna mess with.
Yes.
And so
So there-
realistically, our project would be where the existing dam is now, it plunges down and it goes out across a little bit of rock, and then there's that big plunge pool. We're gonna start at the edge of that plunge pool and then work upstream toward Washington. So this project, just replacing the dam, doesn't have anything to do with the river downstream.
And it wouldn't raise the river at all?
Nope, and it's not gonna change it at all. So
Okay.
right now, during a storm event, some of that might be stored. Basically, the reason I say it naturalizes it a little bit is if we get a 3 or a 4 inch rain, it's now gonna be allowed to pass over that weir naturally, so the flow that comes to it can go away.
Okay.
And so you're still gonna have the big drop. We think that's important to have that water being oxygenated and providing the same habitat function that it does today, which is funny. I'm not a biologist, but I can play one on TV. So we don't want to make major changes to the water itself and how we get it to where it needs to go, because that's gonna impact the species that are there. So.
Okay.
But for you, you're not gonna notice a major change in the function or the look of the river through
Okay.
that stretch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, Paul, really high level, you're hitting on a couple things that I really like. That's get it done, go in once, and get out. And then long-term savings, safety, I mean, those are things that I think this council's been demonstrated for, as well as staff, so I'm glad we're already in that direction. And the engine nerdy talk, it's pretty good. You could play one on TV for biologists too.
So thank you. It is this, this is a challenge. I mean, and Jim knows too. He had a front row seat. I mean, we've really been beating our heads against a wall on how to make this work and not leave you with, I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I promise you, it's going to look different, a lot different, regardless of what we do. But generally speaking, in my mind, orifice openings, gates, logs, motors, actuators, catwalks, are not that aesthetically pleasing. Now, granted, again, like I mentioned, this W system is going to take a lot of concrete and a lot of wall work, but at the end of the day, I think it's more aesthetically pleasing. It's more economical. You don't have to maintain it, and it's easier to move forward. So, anyway.
Any other questions from trustees?
I have a question. How soon are we looking at this?
Excellent. So time frame.
See, there you go.
With the ARPA funds that Jason has, our hope is that permitting is going to take some time.
Yeah.
As we work with the dam safety unit and the environmental folks at Eagle, they're going to need some time to vet this. So our hope is to finalize the design here in the next, month or two.
Okay.
Get that in for a permit application this year. I would be shocked if we're doing construction this fall. That would be probably a pipe dream. So more realistically speaking, 2025 construction is kind of what we're targeting, and then we're done. And I know your DPW guys will be excited, because that's been a thorn for them for many years. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nope, I appreciate the drain commissioner and his support and attention to Vicksburg. He's the one who initiated the request to secure that outside funding. I think it was $2.5 million, so not impacted current taxes. I probably should publicly apologize for my reaction behind the scenes on a potential $1 million price tag to Vicksburg. So I'm glad we've been able to work through that to save, not endure that cost. So thanks, Paul.
Yep, you bet. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Public official appearances, we have Tim Culver, representative of State Rep Matt Hall's office.
And then we also have County Commissioner Wendy Mazer here as well. Tim, are you okay? Because my mother's in my ear that we should ask our female commissioner first to speak. Is that all right?
Wendy told me she had nothing to add tonight.
I just want it known that she comes to our meetings quite regular and is incredibly attentive to Vicksburg's needs, so.
If our village manager will notice on my agenda, I had noted on my comments, which I had done, to introduce our county commissioner, Wendy Mazer, so.
Yeah. Now, Tim, come on up, because I have a few comments to make about you, sir, as well. This is a gentleman obviously representing our state representative, Matt Hall's office. But straight to the point, he's a get-it-done type of guy. I know of at least, I think, 4 occasions in the last 6 months, I have sent urgent text messages to Tim that I needed guidance or help or assistance, and never had to send a second text, because he's always on the phone right then, and each and every time you made sure our requests were answered and what we need. So thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. And, Commissioner, or Representative Hall realizes that Vicksburg is a place that's on the go and on the grow, and really doing some great things here. And he recognizes that. The fact that you built this great place without raising people's taxes is something that did not go unnoticed with Representative Hall. And it's great to be here today. Some of you may have seen some of my colleagues here, Corey Spencer or John Spencer. Those two have moved on now to the campaign. And so we're kind of restaffing it a little bit. I'd like to introduce Mason Milks. He is a Kalamazoo County resident and a Michigan State University student, and he'll be on our staff for this summer. So you may see him at a few meetings. The House is back to having regular sessions again after 6 months of really not doing anything. The reason is because the majority now has regained their 2-seat majority, and they're starting about the business of state government, which first and foremost right now is the state budget. It remains to be seen how much input that will go into that, but that's what we're at right now. They're working on the state budget. That's a top priority right now. I wanted to mention that we put out a lot of mailers from our office, just like a lot of offices. But there's one that doesn't have any politics in it, and it just came out. It's our annual festivals and event guide, and it has a whole lot of Vicksburg stuff in it. Reason being that there's just a whole lot of Vicksburg stuff. And so we reached out and found out what that stuff was, like Berg Days, and we managed to get it in that guide. So you'll probably see some of those in the mail, and I'll grab a few and drop them off too, so there's some here at the Village Hall coming up in the future. And one last thing, we do have staff listening hours around the district. That's where either me or probably me and Mason will be at the Vicksburg Library, for instance, the 4th Tuesday of each month from 11 to noon. And we encourage constituents to come in if they have problems with state agencies, such as the Unemployment Office or the Secretary of State or Eagle, imagine that. We'll try to reach out then to those agencies and get answers to those questions, those types of things. Or if you just want to yell at us, or if you think that there are some things that we ought to be working on, that Representative Hall should be working on, we're happy to pass that information along. So that's the 4th Tuesday of each month at the Vicksburg District Library from 11 until 12 noon. We'd love to see you stop in if you have time, and feel free to get the word out. That's just Representative Hall's staff, although if he's in the neighborhood, you never know. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And now we have time for citizens' comments for agenda items only. If anybody wants to speak, please come up to the lectern and announce your name and your address. Thank you. Nobody's rushing up, so we'll move along. My comments were stolen by the village manager, so once again, our County Commissioner Wendy Mazer is here, so she was here earlier, so just wanted to acknowledge her presence. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda. That includes the minutes of the work session from April 29th at 6 p.m., the minutes of the regular council meeting the same evening at 7 p.m., the warrant report of $146,796.85. We have an event request, Village Yoga Sunset Park Pavilion, Monday, Wednesday, Friday in May. We had no correspondence, and as I stated earlier, there's a third quarter budget amendments. So if anyone on the council thinks that we should table that until the next meeting, please note it when you make your motion. So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion for such.
Trustee Wagner, I so move.
Support.
We have a motion by trustee Wagner, support by trustee Riestra. Is there any discussion or questions?
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Olson,
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger, Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes. Okay, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion and support and approval to go into zoning board of appeals meeting.
Trustee Fields, so moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support by trustee Fields and trustee Riestra. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll now go into the zoning board of appeals. First up is the approval of the ZBA bylaws.
No, we're going to, what we did is looked at best practices under the RRC model and communities. We had this vetted with our village attorney, Catherine Kaufman, who came back with the final copy. It's my understanding that we'll actually have that as the May 20th action item to the council. But it's prepped and ready to go, so it kind of reads, it was supposed to more read that they're coming and they'll be here at the next meeting, but we did receive Catherine's input and made one improvement at her suggestion, and they'll be at the May 20th meeting in front of the council. And just to inform, when looked at the history, the ZBA did not have bylaws for the village of Vicksburg, so we will now have best practice ones.
Okay, so where are we sliding now?
So we're at 12A2, the request of Pearson's Properties.
Would you like to read that for us, please?
It is, it's for a special land use approval consideration in order to construct a car wash building at the property with parcel number 15-18-173-010. The subject parcel is located at the southeast corner of North Richardson Street and East Vine Street. It's approximately 0.49 acres in size. The operation of a car wash is considered a special land use in the C2 commercial zoning district. Special land uses are regulated by Part 3 of the Village of Vicksburg zoning ordinance sections 475.24 to 475.28. What we have been working with the developer, with our team, including McKenna, the village attorney, village staff, and have now progressed forward to this special land use request. The permit application was properly filled out by Pearson's Property LLC, DBA The Berg Car Wash. I will make note that the staff memo provided to the council, again having input of the entities or the team, be it the attorney's office, staff, but the conclusion is we've reviewed the conceptual plan and application material for the establishment of an automobile wash establishment at the address of 320 East Vine Street. Based on the review, criteria as outlined within the Village of Vicksburg zoning ordinance pertaining to special land uses, we find the application can be supported for approval. We've also want to make note that we have provided the council with a sketch drawing of the concept plan of two automatic bays in the car wash. I would make note the developer is here. Mr. Pat Pearson is here. If questions might arise, I can certainly call on him to clarify something. But it's been very satisfying to deal with Mr. Pearson and the team he's assembled. He's really focused on local. Frederick's Construction will be the general contractor, as well as other local components that he's made apparent from the start he wanted to be a part of his team. The other is, I think, is his sincere look at the lot. It is a commercial 2 zoning lot that is bordered to the east by residential. Through the discussions, and obviously we'll still need to go to site plan review here in the May or June, well, it'll be the June Planning Commission meeting with the specific engineered drawings. However, the extra steps that this developer has taken in the such as the mechanics that create the air drying system as a car goes through, instead of like most car washes which are outside of the building, these will be in the building, and instead of stainless steel, they'll have a polycarbon dome on top of them. And he's buying the lowest decibel rated anyway, but taking these extra steps, putting the interior vacuum cleaners to the Richardson Street side, again, furthest point away from those residential areas, and it's just been a pleasure to work with and move on, and we hope to get this across the finish line. But specific to tonight, that staff is recommending, and that it is supported for approval, the special land use, and we will ask the chair to open up the public hearing for public comments.
Yes, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by trustee Wagner, supported by trustee Ristra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We're now in public hearing. Anybody that wishes to come up and speak on this topic is welcome to come up, and please state your name and your address. Everybody's rushing up. Okay. At this time, is there any questions? I mean, it's a public hearing.
Close the public hearing and then come to.
Chair will now entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by trustee Wagner, supported by trustee Ristra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Now I can open for any questions or comments regarding this.
I would just like to thank you for bringing this to us. I have been wondering if we were ever going to get a decent car wash in Vicksburg. And I will be very thrilled not to have to drive all the way down Portage Road to get my car washed. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a soft wash.
One of them will be a touchless wash, and one will be a soft cloth.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very excited about it.
Thanks.
I'd like to echo Gail. I mean, provided we have all the reasoning here to support the special land use and it's within the ordinance, supported by staff. Thank you for all the extra time and effort you've put into it to be a good business and a good neighbor within the village and choosing us for this business. The steps that Jim's outlined that you've taken in the process, I mean, that means a great deal to us. It's not something that everybody does, so taking those extra steps, I'm glad to see that you'll be a part of the community should this be approved. So, thank you.
Look forward to it.
Any other questions or comments by the board? That's the case. The chair will now accept a motion of support for the application as presented.
Trustee Wagner, I so move.
Trustee Fields, I support.
We have a motion of support, motion by trustee Wagner, support by trustee Fields. Are there any other questions or comments? Christian will take a roll call, please.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Olson,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes. Thank you. Now, at this time, the chair will motion and support to return to the regular village council meeting.
So moved.
Support?
We have a motion by trustee Wagner and trustee Fields as a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We're back at regular council session. We're at village council action items. Mr. Mallory.
Yes, on 13A is the village-wide street marking contract. Staff is recommending a motion, support, and approval to authorize the village manager to enter into a contract with PK Contracting to have substantial crosswalk, railroad crossing, center line, double center line, and the following municipal parking lots striped. Angels Crossing, north of the post office, behind Main Street Pub, and Michigan and Prairie, next to Oswalt Park. It is part of the ongoing efforts over the next 18 months of improved beautification within the village. The contract will not exceed $50,000. We're using that amount because it is by linear feet. The pricing per linear feet is under the state guidelines, and it will be the most extent you could combine all the street markings we've done each of the last 8 years, and it won't equal the update. All railroad crossings, all of the core downtown between Prairie and Washington Street, going out Boulevard and V Avenue to 22nd Street, Wilson Street, and you'll see crosswalks and trying to get that inviting look of walkability and people to experience our parks as well as our downtown. But I'll be happy to answer any questions. The specific price, and right now it is, there'll be no general fund tax dollars used. It'll be Act 51 money that we receive from the state of Michigan that's part of the gasoline tax for this improvement to the village. You were going to ask a question?
No, just the chair will entertain a motion and support on the action item that's been presented.
So moved.
Support?
We have a motion by trustee Reeser, support by trustee Fields. Now, does anybody have any questions or comments for the village manager?
Jim, specific intersection at V and 22nd, there's that little sidewalk that comes across. Is that going to be getting a crosswalk?
There's 2 points. There'll be crosswalks across 22nd Street at both neighborhood locations, from the neighborhoods that are on the east side of the road to the larger walkway on the west side of the road.
Yep, and that answers perfectly, just considering you said the 18-month time frame, and we've got the new developments potentially going in. Just thinking about how we can maybe kind of lump in some of those improvements to this as well.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And also for timing purposes, this is not a 24-25 fiscal year budget request. It's our goal. I don't know if we can get this done by the 18th of May, but working with PK, they're very confident it will be done before all the summer events, be it that first week of June. So.
Any other questions or comments? Christian will take a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Olson.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
Last action item under 13B is a standardized resolution 05062024-01. It's the 2023 Kalamazoo County Hazmat Mitigation Plan. Staff is recommending a motion, support, and approval of the resolution that's been provided to the Village Council.
Chair will entertain a motion in support based on the resolution.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by trustee Wagner, support by trustee Riestra. Any questions or comments? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Olson.
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes. Okay, now we move on to the village manager's report.
Correct. This is just a report out from the last meeting. We did a exercise with the trustees on CIP items. If you remember, listing out very specific CIP items that predominantly were close to 6 figures. Wanted to report back to the council that all 6 council members indicated the top priority being the parking lot downtown and back of the hardware. And we will continue the exercise to get planning commission input next Monday. There'll be a more formal presentation by myself on the capital improvement plan process. And then on May 20th, presentation will be delivered to the council in depth to establish the 6-year CIP plan for the village and identifying savings to accomplish this with cash payments. Second item is just a reminder to the council and the public. We're coming up on May 18th with a full day of activities for the 151st and a half year birthday celebration of Vicksburg, Michigan. Doing unique stuff, trying to get our retail establishments involved by decorating under a birthday theme. We are going to utilize DDA funds to purchase 25 $20 gift cards from 25 businesses located in Vicksburg. The day of the event, anyone from 7 in the morning until 2 p.m. that purchases $20 or more from a Vicksburg retail establishment will be eligible to have their name in the drawing for these additional gift cards that the village will be purchasing. There will be a cupcake eating contest. We'll have 2 large obstacle course and a giant slide from Vertical Edge. We'll have street games as well as live music starting at 3 with Old Hank's Son, and then headline at 5 o'clock will be Fleetwood Mac tribute with the Caitlin Rose group. So we're anticipating having a decent crowd coming into the village of Vicksburg, and hopefully you'll see that I want to give public acknowledgement to the Department of Public Works. Last week we dealt with 2 infrastructure issues, both on Michigan, Park Street, and another one. But in conjunction with that, hopefully you're seeing the work they're doing to prep town. And I wanted to thank this council for putting the part-time staff on as both mowing the lawns and in the upkeep of downtown. I think if you look at our downtown, we're well ahead of where we've been in the last 8 years. And I know Oswald Park's getting completed today, so you'll see those improvements continue. And that's my report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Manager Mallory?
Jim, just out of curiosity, how do we estimate how many people come to the village during an event like this?
We have a relationship with entities that we know how many devices are in town for each event and where the devices are coming from. So on a high level, the Berg Days is summer 2023. We know on Wednesdays what devices were coming, and predominantly, interesting enough, the majority are not from the 49097 area code. We're drawing now slightly above 50% from outside that area code, predominantly from South Portage and Mattawan, and next up is Sprinkle Road from the north. So that's one way. And then visual count, Scott and I will confer, and through our experience, and estimate a crowd that first. It's about a week later that we get the count on devices.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just let the rest of the council know, I did see a nice young lady working not this last weekend, but the weekend before, in one of the flower beds downtown, and she was doing a very nice job. So I just want to publicly commend her for doing that. We'll move on to committee reports.
Must have been Steph.
The tree committee.
Yes, we have a meeting set up with our manager
I was not at the meeting, but I can confirm a couple things, and if our new trustee would like to jump in and help at any point. The movies in the park for the summer have been set up, so we're looking at some really fun things. The Lego movie, we're going to do Christmas in July. We're going to have a sing-along with the movie Sing. We've already had the library reach out to help provide things for the kids to do while waiting for it to get dark so we can start the movie. I also had been reached out by Kalamazoo County State Bank. They have come up with some really fun ideas and are looking forward to coming out and helping support that as well. So we have the 3 movies for the kids set up. This year there will also be an additional movie night, kind of a date night for mom and dad. Leave the kids at home, and there'll be more information to come about that as we go forward. And that's all I have. And Chad, if there was anything else at the meeting, because I was not in attendance. So.
The other main topic we talked about was a community garden and rules around that, and we have started that process, and most likely that will be pushed harder next season. Since we're coming so close to this season already, it was brought up in April, right? April, so we don't have enough leeway to get everything in line for that, but that will be a thing coming to the community potentially, or coming to this board this year, but for next year, for 2025.
Okay, thank you. Cats, I think they already met, and I think President Frisbee made a report on that last week. Planning Commission.
Planning Commission meeting is next Monday, so we'll have that for the next meeting.
Okay, South County Sewer and Water Authority, I think they reported last week they were canceled, so. And the Fire Authority, we are scheduled to meet next Wednesday, so. Moving on, we have citizens' comments for non-agenda items. Anybody wants to come up and speak regarding none? There we go. You can state your name and your address, please.
Okay, I'll let you guys know. I'm Aska Brown. I live over in Schoolcraft on Nighthawk. I'm running for Schoolcraft Township Clerk, and I have worked at the township from 1999 to 2001 and 2012 to the present. So I have 15 years experience with everything that goes on there. I've worked under 3 different clerks in my time there too. And I've also been the deputy clerk since 2015. So in my 15 years, I've run many elections. I have experience for this job, and I look forward to working with you guys. So I hope I have your support at the August 6th primary. Thank you.
Could you state your name again for me?
Yes, it's a little different. It's Eska, E-S-K-A, and last name Brown, like the color.
Thank you, Eska.
Yeah, sure.
Any other citizens would like to make a comment? Here we go.
My name is Tony Rafferty, and I live in the village of Schoolcraft, but I am running for Township Supervisor. My experience is just in the town of Schoolcraft. I am the president of the 4th of July committee parade fireworks that happen there, and have just been actively involved with youth activities, but have been very involved in going to township meetings as well as the Village of Schoolcraft meetings. This is my first time here. Beautiful building. But I am hoping to get support from the Village of Vicksburg as well on this pursuit. I'm hoping to bring some new thoughts and ideas to the board. And I just look at my mother-in-law. I don't know that any of you know Nancy Rafferty. My mother-in-law just turned 90 years old, and she tells me over and over, excuse the phrase, but sometimes it's time for the chiefs to step down and the Indians need to come up and find your place. And she has encouraged me that it's time for my generation to step up, and while we have our chiefs still around, to learn from them and have them mentor us. So that's my hope and plans.
Will you state your name again, please?
Tony, well, my petition says Tony Elgersma Rafferty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What township again, Tony? Schoolcraft?
Schoolcraft Township.
Well, I wish you both the best of luck. Unfortunately, I'm the only member on the board that's from Brady Township, so I can't. So, anybody else would like to speak? Okay, we're moving along. Trustees' time. We'll start with the newbie, Trustee Kissinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm humbled to take this position. I have served the village for 4 years on the Parks and Rec Committee, and we've done some good things with Wendy Fields as well. And I'm excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Very good. Trustee Olson.
Believe it or not, nothing. I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fields.
Well, welcome, Mr. Kissinger. This is going to change the grouping on the Parks and Rec probably a little bit, but change is good, as we have seen. So I know that you're going to bring a lot to this because it's been a pleasure working with you on Parks and Rec. And with that, I'll let somebody else go.
Trustee Wagner.
Firstly, welcome, Trustee Kissinger. More representation from the Centennial Northwest side of the neighborhood. So happy to have that. Also, thank you to Tim and Mason from Representative Hall's office. Always appreciate the inclusion, and especially for the event guide inclusion. I think that's very great. But other than that, that's it for me this evening.
Trustee Reestra.
Well, I'm thrilled about a car wash, so thank you so very much. I'm looking forward to driving in, and I'm welcoming Chad too. I'm really happy to have you with us, and looking very much forward to the 151 and a half birthday party, and also Berg Days this summer. And I'd like to thank these two young ladies for running. I think you're right. I think sometimes we need some new voices, so good luck.
Well, I won't get ignored this time, so, because Tim's not here, so. I'd like to thank you as well for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. I appreciate that. And also the representative for the Drain Commission coming down. Hopefully we can get some more detailed information down the road on that. Also, Chad, I want to welcome you to this board. You've got a lot of good people around you, so don't be afraid to ask questions. We're very mindful of what we do here, so we appreciate you being here. I also want to reach out and thank the village. Many of you know I'm on the Vicksburg Lions Club, and this last week, which I neglected to mention, was White Cane Week. So last Thursday through Saturday, the Lions were out in force and supporting the White Cane, which we take donations, which do stay local, just so everybody knows, for vision projects for people that need eye tests or glasses. The money that we get from the White Cane goes directly towards that. So the generosity from the village is greatly appreciated, so I want to make that known. That's all I have. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Before 8 o'clock.
I know, you're so good.